Daredevil Season 3 gave us an amazing take on Bullseye, but not a very comic accurate one, which doesn't sound right, does it? I mean, everything about him feels right, the performance is great, the action is incredible, and he has one of the most interesting character arcs in the whole MCU. What they did with Benjamin Poindexter in Season 3 fits very well within the themes of the show, and it really works. But interestingly, it's not very comic Bullseye-y. In fact, it goes out of its way to do something the comics never did or even wanted to do. It gives Bullseye a clear origin story, and that's exactly where the problem is. You see, in the comics, Bullseye isn't the kind of villain you're meant to understand or empathize with. He's a force of nature. Now, as we move on into Daredevil Born Again, it looks like they're finally giving us a version of Bullseye that's closer to the comics. But what does that mean for the future of the show? In order to find out, let's break down what Season 3 changes about Bullseye and how those changes come into play in Born Again. A couple of quick things before we start. First off, thank you guys so much for subscribing and for the support on the last video. It's been amazing and I really appreciate it. Second, thank you to Adam Doyle for suggesting this video, hope you enjoy it. And third, everyone, please, put the gun and the office supplies down. I'm not here to say Season 3 was bad or that Wilson Bethel is a bad Bullseye. I'm just here to talk about how they chose to adapt him in the original show and how those choices come into play in the new one. Changes don't always mean a bad thing, it's not a big deal. Now, let's get into it. In Season 3, we're introduced to Special Agent Benjamin Poindexter, who immediately catches Fisk's attention for his amazing marksman skills. Plus, troubled past, mental health issues, that sort of thing. Fisk's plan to regain control of his criminal empire was already in motion, and Poindexter, with his skill set, became a key part of it. So, to get a better idea of exactly how to manipulate him, Fisk is able to get his hands on pretty much every file about Benjamin Poindexter that exists. Past employment, military records, and, most importantly, a series of recordings of all of Dex's therapy sessions ever since he was a kid. He finds some pretty disturbing, but also pretty useful things. We learn, along with Fisk, that young Ben Poindexter lived in an orphanage after losing his parents, where he joined the baseball team. Obviously, he was their best pitcher, by far. So, in one game, when the coach decides to bench him, he doesn't take it very well. Nobody had been able to hit a single ball he threw, so that seemed a little unfair, right? Besides, he couldn't just stop. He had to keep playing because maybe, just maybe, if he pitches the perfect game, his parents might come back.
Dex, you could pitch 1 billion perfect games. You won't bring your parents back.
He eventually agrees to go to the bench, feeling angry, confused, betrayed. The coach even tried to cheer him up, offering him a popsicle as a reward, but Dex didn't care for that. Instead, he grabbed the baseball, and with all his strength and perfect aim, threw it at a steel pole, and then... Yeah, it doesn't go well. And this is important, because he didn't throw the ball directly at the coach, so the death was considered an accident. When his therapist asks him about it though, Dex admits that he was angry and that he wanted the coach to die. His therapist, Dr. Mercer, tells him that because his parents weren't around even before they died, they never got to teach Dex right from wrong. Dr. Mercer spends years trying to help him manage his impulses, teaching him routines, structure, even empathy, or at least how to simulate it.
How about something like, I'm sorry, that sounds hard.
I'm sorry, that sounds really hard.
It's hard. It's really hard.
Through all those years, Dr. Mercer was able to really connect with Dex, telling him that his moral compass wasn't broken, he just needed someone to guide him, a North Star. For years, that was her. But once she was diagnosed with cancer, essentially putting an end date to their meetings, well, it risks all of their progress so far. She did her best to try and help him even after she was gone by gifting him the recordings of all of their sessions together so he could listen to them whenever things got difficult. After she died, Dex managed to follow her instructions for a time. He joined the army, a place with rigid structure, which is exactly what he needs, but also a place where he got to be very familiar with multiple firearms and combat training. Not a great combination given this guy's track record. After leaving the military, Dex started working at Brooklyn Suicide Prevention Center when he met Julie Barnes. Over the 1 year that he worked there, he developed a bit of an obsession with Julie, who became his new North Star, although she wasn't aware of it. He continued to keep tabs on her, following and watching her from a distance even after he was recruited into the FBI. Despite that obsession, he never tried approaching her or talking to her after he left the hotline. He was a respectful stalker. Obviously, his obsession came from the fact that Julie seemed to be exactly the kind of person Dr. Mercer described. Someone with a good heart who could help him tell right from wrong. He went about it a weird way, sure, but ultimately he didn't mean any harm, at least not right then, and definitely not to her. Anyway, after listening to all the tapes and going through all the files, Fisk knows about all of this. Specifically, he knows about Dex's need for a North Star, and he knows that that's Julie Barnes right now. So his next steps are clear, and kinda messed up. He needs to break the safe, rigid structure Dex built for himself, and he needs to cut that North Star connection Dex has with Julie. First, by disrupting the stalking system Dex had in place, then finally having her killed. Also, Fisk himself can step up and claim the role of Dex's North Star, making him easy to manipulate and gaining a highly skilled assassin on his side, complete with some Daredevil slander while we're at it. The guy's efficient, right? If nothing else. So, okay, you've probably seen the show, you know about all of this, so why am I bringing it up? Because this whole story, as good and well executed as it is where it fails in the comic accuracy side of things. Season 3 doesn't introduce Bullseye. They don't even use that name. It builds him. It shows us how he becomes Bullseye. He works very well, but it isn't true to the character in the comics. And that's where, on that aspect, Daredevil Born Again has a bit of an unfair advantage. Because comic Bullseye, he doesn't get built. No clear origin, no tragic descent. He just shows up, murders some people, sometimes a very important character, and then leaves. Then you go and start another comic and watch him do it all over again. It's like a car crash, you know, you can't look away. And that's who he's been from the start. When Bullseye first shows up in the comics in issue 131, he's very much shown to be a dangerous villain and a worthy opponent to Daredevil. Marv Wolfman, the co-creator of the character, says he imagined him as a counter to Daredevil's Raider sense. You know, since Daredevil is so good at close hand-to-hand combat, what happens when his opponent is like half a mile away, throwing random objects at him with lethal precision? But Bullseye didn't really have much going for him at the time, except for the same gimmick, being very good at aim. He had some great stories then, but nothing to truly set him apart. It isn't until Frank Miller takes over that he's promoted from a villain of the week kind of character to a proper arch-nemesis. Bullseye gets a larger role in the story, a strong presence, and an actual character arc. And that's what makes him stand out. Here's what Miller has to say about Bullseye. Bullseye is what we call a doppelganger, the identical opposite of Daredevil, in that Daredevil is responsibility, law, and order, and Bullseye is complete wild malice. He had already been Daredevil's opponent, but I just made that more of a duel to the death. Comic Bullseye isn't a tragic figure, pulled into this life by an evil crime boss. He's sadistic. He kills for fun. You're not meant to feel sorry for him, at all. And most importantly, unlike Season 3, he doesn't get an origin story. Or at least not one we can trust. Because he's told different versions over the years, full of contradictions, inconsistencies, and different outcomes. On one account, his older brother Nate killed their abusive father in a fire. On another, Bullseye set the fire himself. In this other version, though, Bullseye fakes his father's suicide, back when he was still a kid. But in this other comic, Bullseye kills his dad now as an adult. But then, maybe he never even met his father at all. Who knows? Also, his brother's name isn't Nate, it's Lester. But Bullseye's name is Lester. Right? It's almost like you can't trust a word this guy says. And that's the key difference, and where Born Again comes in. Because it doesn't need to tell us that backstory anymore. It doesn't need to show Ben Poindexter's descent into Bullseye. That's already been done. They can just let him be Bullseye. And that's mostly what they've been doing. He's still different, don't get me wrong, but he's different in a way that pulls him closer to his comic counterpart, especially in the earlier Miller days. But also in a way that makes sense with what came before and within the Born Again story. Following the events of Season 3, Bullseye is sent to a mental institution to serve his sentence, where they kept him drugged all day, every day, so he was never fully in control. Which, by the way, raises some questions for me in terms of notoriety, maybe for you as well. I mean, if he's been there since Season 3, how did he get the name Bullseye? How does the Punisher know him? How does he know who Daredevil is? I don't think he finds out in Season 3. Like, did he escape at any point? Just so many questions. Those are beside the point, though. After he gets out, the first thing he does in true comic Bullseye fashion is kill one of the series' most beloved characters, and the most important person in Daredevil's life. Sure, he was doing it because Vanessa sent him, and it was the only way for him to get out of the psych ward, But look at that face! Does that look like the face of a man who's being forced to do this? Besides, what about those other people he killed that night? Were they part of the package too, or did he just do it for the love of the game? We've been seeing it more and more in Season 2 as well. Every scene he's in, he's more unhinged, more unpredictable. He's being chased by the anti-vigilante task force, which in his mind makes him a vigilante and therefore one of the good guys. He thinks that doing one good deed, killing Fisk, will undo all the harm he's done, not only to Foggy, but all the innocent people he killed along the way. This man is setting up ambushes for the task force so he can make killing part of his morning routine. Basically, what it really comes down to is this. Daredevil Season 3 gives you the why. Why did this guy turn out this way? Something that the comics never wanted to do. Meanwhile, Daredevil Born Again takes full advantage of that. It takes everything Season 3 built and elevates it, only without any safety rails. It turns him into something that's different, but also familiar. He still has a structure in place, you could maybe even argue he still has a North Star, only both of those concepts are now completely twisted in his head. What once kept him in check is now exactly what's driving him the opposite way. So what does that leave Bullseye with, in both the comics and the show? Well, absolutely gleeful murderous instincts and a bit of an obsession with Daredevil. Which, hey, same. The second part though, this only the obsession, not the murder part. By the way, I really like this version, and I can't wait to see where they take him next. What about you? What stories do you think they should be adapting in Season 2 and beyond? Let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this, please leave a like and subscribe. There's a lot more Daredevil content coming up. And if you want to see another character breakdown like this, check out my video on Karen Page, right here. Thank you very much for watching. As always, I'll see you next time. Bye!